The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. Man, how's it going today, guys? Man, you guys are here early. Check this out. Tim's out there, Darren, Yanni, Dennis is here, man. Oh, everybody, bro. Haven't seen this one yet, man. Right on, brother. Welcome. Yeah. Right on, man. Network, yeah. There we go, Dead Fish. You get your coil up and going, brother? Oh, man. Yeah, good fun, man. UFOs, all kinds of cool stuff. His Highness is stopping by for a pass by, man. Nice. AOC leader. Nice. Come by and check it out, man. Right on, brother. Right on, Jarvis. Yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit of UFOs today, guys. I set out a video on the UFO, man, on what's going on. Some of the things I don't think people really are understanding to get these patents, and they're not really looking at everything in there and understanding why it's in there. And we'll just start with the Viamana, so we get the gist of what they're trying to do. You see 4 different tubes on there when you see them, always, okay? You got the 2 tubes on the outside and the 2 like this, right? So what are we doing? Well, anytime that you take a tube and you put something in it, like the piece of your toaster that lights up, right? You put it in there, what it'll start doing is resonating the tube. You put 2 in resonance, they start oscillating to each other. Now you put 2 different sizes together, they oscillate to each other in resonance, but now between all 4, you get a beat frequency. So what is that basically telling you? It's basically telling you that there are 2 resonance frequencies that you need to come up with, and there's a beat frequency that needs to come into it. Now, one of the cool things in this, man, is all you have to do is ionize the air around it now. Those are 2 fundamentals you need. The other 2 you're going to need is you're going to need a form of static electricity, and you're going to need a field of radiant energy. Once you have those, man, you have a UFO craft. The Viamana told you what the resonance signature was. That was pretty easy. We get into some more complicated ones, man. You just see the little ball, half ball on the bottom. Those are just resonators. Think about it this way. You take the thunderstorm generator and you got 2 spheres, right? Well, you cut those in half and you got the resonator. All you're trying to do is take something and resonate it to the next thing. They're going to be 2 resonance frequencies in that, okay? And then also you're going to get a beat frequency between them. That's fairly simple. I mean, it's in that one. That's most UFO crafts, and we got it in the Viamana. We have it everywhere else. These things are fairly easy to put together as long as you know it. The harder thing is to get the frequencies right. So it's just it's a lock. You have to be able to set it to a lock. And the easiest way to think about this is horses on a bridge. You take your hooves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But in your head, you always go dun 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 dun, right? And I guess it's just something for me, maybe me only. But I hear dun 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 dun, so 5 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Basically, I got two frequencies that are going on, two sets, and then I have a pulse or sorry. We have two frequencies going on, and we got a beat frequency going on, not a pulse. Sorry. So you take that and you put it on a bridge. What happens? If it matches the resonance frequency of that bridge is going to go in complete chaos. Why? Because it loses its grip on gravity itself. So now it sways back and forth uncontrollably. Well, that should tell you something. You want to break gravity, that's broken gravity. The other parts are lift, propulsion, putting in air in the system, and stuff like that. But the actual breaking of the gravity starts right there. That's all you have to do. It's pretty simple. The harder part is to get it to lift or build the field around it to lift, things like that. But this is pretty much a general concept. Why would you need any form of ionization? And I'm not saying ion wind. So if you're thinking ion wind, you're out to lunch. We're not even going there. That is a weak force. That is a weak force in itself. Your PC fan gives off the same amount. It's bad. You need ionization. You're trying to break the molecule chain. You're prepping it to break with the ionization. Once you do that, now it's easier to get the stuff out of the way. You're going to move everything out of the way and build a field bubble around it. Once you build that field bubble, man, you're good to go. Now you isolated yourself from gravity. Not only did you break it, you isolated yourself. Now you lift based on the energy in that. Really cool, man. You don't need to generate that much power. I think that's a misunderstanding. You're generating the power that's in the field bubble. You're not generating the power against the earth. I think that's a common misconception. If you tried to generate the power against the earth, let me just tell you what'll happen. 1,000,000 volts, 1,000,000 amps, that's about the number you're going to come up with. What does that mean? That means incineration for you. That's what it means. You're going to get in a metal craft that's put in with 1,000,000 amps. Buddy, I didn't even want to be around a welder that has 220 amps. Okay? Imagine a big UFO craft with 1,000,000 amps in it. No, thank you. That's incineration, and that's not possible for us. So you have to isolate it, and you have to use the cold side of energy to get there. You don't need to be heated up to oblivion. We're not going to hell. We're just simply building a UFO. So I think that's one of the misunderstandings of this whole thing. I've heard it a lot. It's just not true in the way it builds out. Once you build that field, man, you're building the energy inside the craft. You're basically filling up a bubble with energy. Yeah, there's going to be a lot in there, but it's going to be mostly static or like radiant. It's not going to be much of anything else. It's going to be easy as long as you have a shell on the outside of your craft. Then not a problem. You'll be able to push that off easily. Yeah, well, it's a simple concept, Joe. I mean, that's the way I see it anyway. Well, once you have the basics down, it kind of works itself out. Now, all that being said, I've been working on one for a couple of years now. So, and I'm getting some progress now that I've straightened out my harmonics in it. So we're getting there. Yeah, you're not even crispy, man. You don't exist. You're fried. And the math don't make no sense on that one. There's no way to pull that off in the right way. Besides that, how are you going to get the time dilation bubbled in order to move your craft so fast that people can't hardly see it like it's a blur? I mean, let's just be honest with each other. There's certain things that in physics that you put together that work that way, and you have to recognize them when you see them. If we're seeing the craft that moves so fast and you're sitting still and you can't catch it no matter what you do, well, I guess that basically means they have some form of time dilation, which you don't. So, yeah, I know you're breaking my chops, Joe. You always do. So, are you using DC motors in the gravity flyer? I'm using 2 fan motors, just like the original one did. I have a second gravity flyer that runs DC motors, but they're way too fast. They power through the resonance cycle. So as soon as you bring it into resonance between the 2 discs themselves, they start a harmonic between them. And When you go too fast, they have trouble pulling off that harmonic. It's easier at slow speeds. So you need a low frequency in there anyway. You don't want everything super high frequency. Um, let's see. Backyard Professor asked the Tessijo brothers, I don't know who that is, about my siding being a crystal, and they were very agreeable. Nice. Very nice. Tesla patent 33691 works on commentator stuff. Interesting. Yeah. Basically, the craft I work on, man, it's mostly mechanically, it's pretty straightforward, but the extra part, the tricks that you need to know are not at all. That's where the whole field starts to get complicated, because you have to pull off again two things that are resonant to each other, but then that has to be one side. Then you have to have another part that's resonant to each other on the other side, and you got to pull off a beat frequency. I pulled off the beat frequency with no problem. Resonating each one perfectly without a miss on it was what I was having trouble with. So that I don't think I'm going to have a trouble now. I learned how to fix that field. Resonance is hard, not so much. We can get things to resonate with each other. We can get them to pick it up, because it doesn't have to be in a full wave. It could be in a full wave and a half wave, and they'll still resonate with each other. I do that with my Tesla coils. I have some short ones like this that'll resonate with ones this tall and be able to pull wireless energy in places. So let's see, practicing with oscillators. Yeah. Some of that stuff, man. Yeah. It's easier with coils. So much easier. Let's see. Testing on the one wire tuning, you found negative 48 volt spike with a 12 volt input. So you found an impulse at basically 48 volts. Nice. Let's see, fell short with the Tesla coil. Maybe. Use a bifilar. A lot of people use a bifilar, man. I've seen them. And I have one that's, I guess, technically a bifilar, but it's probably not. It's the speaker wire, two connected together. I think a lot of people out there say not a bifilar, just a a little bit of capacitance in there. Bifilars are all right, man, but they're basically capacitors. They work out like a capacitor, and two plates moving close and back and forth together, but they will give you more energy if you know how to work it. Let's see. One disc would have 3 crowds around it, and the second disc would have 6 electron spins, ice particle. Could say, okay. Not for the coil, for oscillation. Harvest back EMF. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I do coils as well. Back EMF. You're looking for it in any kind of device that does any cold energy is what you're looking for. And when I mean that, it's just room temperature and below. That's it. It just means that you're pulling voltage to the system without hardly any amps, so that you don't get any buildup in your system. That's basically what it is. When you put it in resonance within your system, you won't have any heat. Even if you have amps in there, you won't have any heat. It'll just blow through cool, which is awesome, by the way. That's how you start to get the effects where something starts to freeze over. Yeah. No, I talk about the UFOs. Bernie was doing some cool stuff on some patents, and man, he was like speed reading. I couldn't make heads or tails of what even the patent says. You get into the first 2 lines of the paragraph, and we're off to the next one. So, yeah, hopefully we can hook up and slow that down and find out what they say. Because I'll be honest with you, man, some of them are just interpretations of what was put in the book. So we have to really look at what they're trying to tell us. The pictures does 1,000 words, man, to anybody who builds stuff. They already know what's going on. They've seen most of it. So, yep. Adjust variable resistors. Well, as soon as you get rid of the resistors in the circuit itself, you can pull off a lot more energy. Those things cost you energy because they all they do is heat up. So, but it all depends on what your system looks like. I prefer stepping the resonance a little bit and changing the frequency a little bit to slow it down, change the duty cycle, things like that. Um, that's usually the best way I've found to do it. That way, the energy stays, but we don't have resistance in there. We don't have a bunch of heat. You know what I mean? The duty cycle itself will produce heat when it goes to the duty cycle because it's holding back the amp field until it bursts out and blows through the whole thing. But just changing the frequency of it would change it. So, what's going on, Dan? Man, yeah, cool stuff, man. We got some of those anti-gravity projects, man. I've seen a lot of them. I'm on my second build of one. The first one that I did was the OTCX1, and man, I fumbled around with that thing forever. You get to the point where it rotates and then it counter rotates on you, and you got to be mindful of that. It'll change the things that are going on in there. There's no circuitry diagram, so you have to learn everything about Tesla coils and the geometry coils and then capacitance and how to build capacitors in there. What the Utron does, not what it doesn't do. A lot of people have a misconception, some big energy generator. It's just not. That's not what it does. It's a frequency generator, and it changes the frequency based on the amount of energy you put through it. It'll speed up and slow down. And you typically have two of those in oscillation with each other in order for it to work. Oh, let's see. I was really enjoying the artificial gravity build. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, trying to get there, man. I got this thing to work a little bit, got to get it to work a lot more, and then we can really, really get going. I'm excited I get tomorrow to build it. So I've done all my work. You can probably see behind me, there's a lot of coils sitting back there. My eyeballs hurt. I spent this weekend winding them so that I can get them out for people who would like to purchase one. And yeah, I've been putting those together this weekend, trying to get all the parts and working on everything. In the middle of it, you get these brain things as you're watching things in the background or listening to them, I should say, on the lives and stuff that everybody does. I try to catch up. But yeah, that's the one that got me because it needs more time. And then him and Jeremy were talking about the ion wind, and man, that was like forever ago. We did that one back when Plasma Channel did his ion thruster. I don't know about you, but I built one. I built the STLs for it, put it on my Thingiverse account. I did multiple ones in a row. It's 2.4 meters per second out of one of those consistently. You can build it with multiple ones and get a higher amount. But once you start building with multiples, the weight's too high. It like 4 times the weight for the same amount of thrust. And you're only gaining half the amount that you got the original time in the second thruster. So the math never works out there. It never works out to get that thing to be propulsion in any way. So yeah, ionization of the air makes more sense because it's just like in the thunderstorm generator. You're basically getting the molecules ready to break apart. And then when you resonate things, that's what breaks them apart. You have them inside of a pressurized field. Well, there you go. There's some Russell scale for you at work. It's exactly what he was talking about, how to transform or transmutate something. It has to do with pressure, has to do with the field that you put it in, the resonance that it's in, and you have to prep it in order to break that field. That's why the outside of the UFO is generally, people say green, people say blue, I say aquamarine. You're taking water and forming it and breaking it back apart is what you're doing. So it always has that feel like you're looking in a pool of water, or it's like water in the sun, if you know what I'm saying. As you're looking at the sun, you think you see vapors of water. That's kind of what it always looks like because of that. So That's part of one of the interesting things about this whole thing. Whiteboard lectures are killer. Right on, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, you got to really look at what some people are doing with these things. Because on one side you get ion wind, but you take away the ion wind, and you could take a standard lifter and put extra weight on it if you understand how to flip that field. That's what's cool, man. What's going on, John? Ulysses, what's going on, man? So yeah, there's a lot of switches that you could do in there, man, to fix this kind of stuff and understand what they're doing there. I know John was talking a little bit on the email to me. I'm sorry, John. I've been kind of out of it this weekend, running back and forth to the computer while I'm building coils. He was talking about the rod that's down the center of the Tesla coil, and it's right up above where the wood part is and the windings and stuff like that. From what I understand, okay, it's possible because the way Tesla builds his coils, he's stacking them. His primary and secondary are stacked. They're not built one inside of the other. So he's not getting the compressive field. He's getting the stacked field, which is a little bit different in nature and the way it works. And then up above it, if there's a rod up above it, then potentially you can pull out energy, but it's not the same thing as you get it inside two coupled fields. So a little bit different there. The wood itself, what is it doing inside of there? It basically makes it so your body capacitance does not mess with the frequency. That's what it does. If you put wood down the center of your Tesla coil, that's what you're going to get. It's not going to mess with it. So you can use pipes or whatever you want, man, and it'll work out. Let's see. People still throwing work at butts capacitors, whatever you want to call them, by using our current understanding of physics as an argument. Let me just tell you something right now. Our current understanding of physics is not where it needs to be. And they haven't been for a long time, and they've been denying stuff for a long time that they see right in front of their face. That bothers me. And because of that, they'll deny a whole bunch of stuff. And that's just not right. You know, I don't care if you want the free ride or not. You better do the work. And if you don't say what the answer really is, why are you in physics? Why even bother? Your current understanding is wrong. Let's see. Let's see. It might go all the way down as it shows. It is away the pattern. Yeah. I think it goes all the way down. I don't see why you would just put it on top. Looks like a rubber here over a brass pipe. Well, that makes a lot of sense, by the way. If you put that in your Tesla coil and do my one of my energies experiments, you get to a colder field doing that because it's causing resistance in the amount of energy being impulsed into it. Therefore, it has to take time to push through that. As it does, the heat stays on the outside and the coldness stays on the inside because it's mostly voltage hitting the inside. So that makes perfect sense. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of gatekeepers. People, man, you can see it. I see it in the numbers that have come out. That pipe, right? Go out and look at the numbers of the people that agreed with it. That little pipe like this, right? For the people who agreed with it, their numbers went to the roof. For those of us who understood exactly what it was doing, our numbers went down on it. And it's because they wanted to promote the gatekeepers. I mean, that's all it really was. It wasn't people's interest necessarily. It was what was being pushed out there by the YouTube. They wanted to protect the gatekeepers on that. Sorry to say, that's exactly what I saw. That thing, man, they've been putting those pipes in the ground for years, man. We already knew what that was going on, and we all knew how much energy it was. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a breakthrough in physics. It was stepping back in history about, 60 years, 40 years, something like that? Yeah, we already knew. Yeah, well, yeah, it isolates it in a way, but not from all the energy. No. Joe was doing it this weekend. he put the shrink tube over top of the brass pipe and put it in there, and he ran 9 volts, and he got a great big field out of it. And why? Because he cut down the amount of amps going through it. Not all heroes wear capes. Thank you all for what your work. Keep in mind. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. I like a lot of physicists. I really do. I just don't like the fact that they get into that. It has to be the way it is. And you go, well, why is it called a theory then? It should be called fact, right? If that's the way it is, it should be said fact. It's not. It's called theory. I don't care if you bow down to the God of that theory or not. It's still a theory. Yeah, he did. It was a big field. Yeah, see? Yeah, it was still impulse the brass pipe. Yeah, that's what we're saying. One of the most successful experiences that I had with the one wire energy was the wall wire, where it had the outside piece still on it, right? And you remember I put that into my rodent coil, into my bifilar coil, all of it. And that right there had the greatest success in doing stuff. Energy was cold, worked with it easy. The understanding was fairly easy, but it had that insulation on the wire. Joe picked up on that the first day. So nice. Right on, Jarvis. What's going on, Crypto? Thank you. Let's see. I don't think anyone can truly define magnetism. Well, I think Ken Wheeler did a great job in how he defined most of it, to be very honest with you. I think that was a really good understanding. Way more than most people would put out there, that's for sure. I honestly, I think, John, from the first day we talked about it, I think he used it to get into the water table. It was the only way he could pull off that field big enough to get those light bulbs to light up. He was just basically using gas, and he was lighting them up. That was it. He just needed something inside there, just to pin anything, and then he could light it up. And that all comes from the simple understanding of the water table and how it worked, and then the earth in between, and then how that built up the energy. He had to have done that. And everything that we find keeps coming back to the same thing. Ulysses, you're awesome, brother. I really do appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see. Here we go. Most of the stuff in the matter is theory, and some researchers have actually to claim things they couldn't possibly otherwise, because not much is against the understanding. There is quite a bit of underground understanding that cannot come out on YouTube. A lot of people would get in a lot of trouble. You can create mass inside of some of these coil structures. And yes, we do know how to do it. And yes, it produces some very valuable stuff. I'll say it that way, and I'll leave it there. I am not going into that whatsoever, because that's when you get in a lot of trouble. Everybody does. So just understand, yeah, we figured it out. Lead skin. That's Florida, the Coral Castle. Yes. Nice. Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to do. That water table has to be the answer there. Yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit behind on the comments. Give me a second. The top was there to eliminate the discharge. Well, it wasn't a discharge he was getting out of that. If we're still talking about the Tesla Tower, he wasn't using it to oscillate to build out energy. He was using it to pull the energy from the sky in. See, he was pulling the sky, and he was pulling the bottom there on the ground up and putting it into that center coil there. And that center coil then distributed the energy down that center rod to the ground into the water table. That's what he was doing. He was pulling the earth battery, and then he was basically pulling a corona motor field up out of the sky, and then he was putting it into that center coil right there, and then he distributed it based on caps. He just kept a distance there. When it got too high, it discharged. When it kept the same distance, it acted as a dielectric. That's basically what he was doing. He was pulling energy from your atmosphere. He had an unlimited amount of energy at that point. The ground battery portion was pulling in the amperage. So, yeah, I mean, there was no discharge on that. It was an accumulative charge. It's like the St. Louis Arch. It messes with the weather because it pulls in an accumulated charge and pulls it to the ground. Therefore, the charge cannot build up in the atmosphere around it. So, yeah, that's what was going on. That's 100% the way I see it. So, let's see. The funniest part to me is that gravity is used in such a manner of equations, despite not being larger scales. It's almost if they can tell exactly what gravity is, but they can't. Well, yeah, they get into arguments over the little g and the big G, right? But they cannot define what gravity is. You got a variable, but you can't define what it is. It's not a, let me just tell you this, it's not a primary force. It's a, I don't want to say this. It's an effect. It's not a cause. In your first primary equation, it has to be an effect. If you show it as a cause or as a primary factor, you'd be wrong because it's an effect. It's an effect of the compression that's going on, the voltage in the atmosphere, the magnetic field inside the earth. The fact that you have to compress them, you're going to get gases in layers on the top of the planet. Your light goes through those gases depending on the amount of energy comes off from your scalar that goes into the field on the outside that hits there, gives you your length of frequency, which gives you your light component and which light there is, right? That's not that hard to figure out. We have compression inside there in the field that we're in. Everything radiates out. It's basically like a vacuum chamber where you see that pink everywhere, except for we're getting a different field because we have different gases inside, which we do see when we put the gases in there and pressurize them in the vacuum chamber. We see exactly what's going on. When you start mixing the gases is when it gets interesting. That's what not a lot of people do. They run with one gas only, probably because some of them would explode together. That's probably the primary reason under pressure. However, we still know what's going on there. Once you release the pressure on something by resonance, we know that they can go wacky in nature. Well, hey, you just release the pressure on it. It's like holding down your hand, okay, and then trying to pull it out, right? You can't, right? It's hard. But if I resonate this thing super fast, it pulls out easily. Why? Because the pressure can't hold it anymore. It's not that hard to understand that. That means that gravity is an effect of all the other things going on around it. And that when you break it, you'll start to understand that. And then now that you know how to break it, now you should apply it as an effect in your equation. That's it. I don't care if it's a big or little g, whatever works for you. As long as you put it as an effect, I'm happy. Oh, man. That's right. Follow that yellow brick road, man. It's the way it works. There you go. It's an effect and relationship of matter. Well, yeah, I mean, look. I think people think when you have density, you have weight. And I don't think that that's 100% correct. You can have density without a mass weight, depending on which molecules you put together in the chain. As you chain more molecules together, then you start to create mass. As you have less molecules, or I should say certain molecules together, you get mass. That's already understood. You could take a gas and convert it into a sludge. That's converting, you know what I mean? A gas right over to a sludge. That's not that hard. It's physically done. We do it in the lab. But sludges matter, and you started out with a gas. So is it conceivable you can take other things and do that with? Absolutely. Absolutely. You just have to understand, which ones you want in there and how you want to change them. Then you start to get to what you want. Okay. People like Bedini figured this stuff out, and they used it to create some expensive material, which got them in a lot of trouble. And you're better off just not doing that, and stay away from the subject altogether. Let's see. When Tesla figured out the atom in, the atmosphere, I just think that is, had voltage potential increased, and it went out further away from the Earth. It actually in other way around. Okay. We have energy potential up in the Earth. There's no question about that. We use it to run Corona motors if you can get the energy up there high enough. Yes, he did discover it, called it radiant energy, and he made a patent based on that. Absolutely. The energy is right outside of the Earth as well, except for the gravity of the Earth probably would stop us from using it. There might be a field a little bit out further, but it's mostly an interference with our satellites. Let's see. Oh, man, what's going on, Brendan? What's going on, Papa Bill? Oh, man. Nice. Yeah, we're always building out some kind of field, aren't we? I think the greatest thing we could do, man, is just keep logging the experiments down and tracking it and seeing where it goes. And one thing I like to do, and I think everybody should do it, is run everything to the max and run everything to the minimum and see what you get. I think there's some of these experiments of physics that could be flipped if we apply that rule to it. And not to say that it would change your understanding a lot, but it would add a second side component to it that would help when you get the anomaly in the lab. Because they try to take out the anomaly, they think it's a mistake, and they should really push on it and just document it, because it would change a lot of things right there. We would then say, okay, this works in a perfect scenario, but then this is the anomaly. Sometimes the anomaly is stronger than the perfect scenario, like when you deal in static electricity. When you stop dealing in static to create it, and then you start dealing and flipping the field on it, then total different understanding. Both shows up in the same test of a static electricity test, and there's more understanding right there in that, and more power in that. It's just the opposite side of it. So, yeah, I think that part just has to be exploited. Write it down. You know what I mean? Keep control on it, because there's somewhere somebody needs that part in their experiment, and if it's well documented, demand it's there. I also think they should make this whole thing easier. Create a database. You put it in inquiry. It gives you something that's basically a physics thing. It tells you which physics formula you want to look at, or these are the top 3 that you should look into, and just have it as a database. So if I go in there and I just say I want to attract 2 fields based on static electricity, it shoot out 3 top physics formulas. Boom, I can look at all 3 of them and say, okay, yes, no, yes, no. You know what I mean? And then write them on the board. And then as we do the test, I can bounce them in, unknown, yes, no. You know what I mean? And keep maneuvering where we're at and seeing why, and then log everything, and then we have a better understanding of it. So I would love to see that, because then a lot of these people can get rid of some of these preconceived notions that they have, and we can start getting to the real thing. That's all I would ask. That it would be an easier thing for someone like me. For other people, they know it by heart. I know a lot of people that do, and they're definitely in the comments and tell me about them. So let's see. You said the transistor looks like it cracked? Man, what is going on? Did you plug that thing in backwards? if you plugged it in backwards, it cracked. I'll tell you that right now. You forced a ton of energy into it right away, and the wrong side, and it probably blasted out. There's probably scarring in there. Heat stroke transistor, well, it's not supposed to be. Get with me and send me an email and some pictures, man. I'll send one out to you. What is the lowest voltage you have resonated at it to run a motor with the Tesla coil wisely? Tesla coils are not good at running motors. They do it in a very short spurts, and it would be 10 volts. At 10 volts, you can get it to run a motor for, say, I don't know, 30 seconds or less. That's about what it does. A lot of it has to go into the math and caps and things like that, and how fast you're changing frequencies and things like that. So, yeah. Doesn't look heated up. I'll get it. It just looks like I'll just look up the color codes. Color codes of what? I'm misunderstanding big time. Yeah, you're better off with the coils you're working on to run those motors, man. To be honest with you, Papa Bale. Let's see. He fixed it. Was 5 minutes tops. Easy job. Just be careful around the resistor. Yeah. Yeah, new transistor. They're $10 for 2 of them, and then you get 2 NPNs with them over on Amazon. Let's see. Cook the resistor. It's not that. The resistors that they send you from Amazon, the little metal parts on them are really weak and they suck. I would love some ones that are better than they have there. They suck. And they'll break off on you. It's too much movement. They need to be thicker. I don't know why they're not. So, yeah. Let's see. Let me ask you this. Did I send you the NPN circuit with it, with the PNP? For dead fish? Let me know. Let's see, the way the buzzer capacitor works makes you truly believe it's possible to have rather than 100% energy efficiency for such a system. Yeah, that could be very well possible. Okay, dude, I may be missing like half the conversation here. It looks like it's cut off right next to it. More of the wire than the ceramic. Okay. The brass rod and the wire. Okay, those two are conflicting statements, and I do not understand. I'm going to need some pictures. Yeah, just send me the pictures of it, man, so we can see what we're dealing with. And then we'll get it fixed up. Interesting. Yeah, the brass rod has nothing to do with the transistor at all. So I kind of lost on that. And then the transistor's cracked, so we just replace it. So that shouldn't be that hard. And then, yeah, give you a few minutes. Okay. Good deal. Yeah, there's some stuff going on here. What is this? Hang on a minute. We'll take a look. Dennis sent me a picture here to my email. What are we looking at here? Hold on, brother. How you doing, man? let's see. 48 volts, 498 kilohertz. Let me see what we got here. There's that spike. Is that what you were talking about earlier? That spike, you got a negative spike in it? That's got to be what you're looking at. Interesting. Yeah, it does. So I'll put that back. Yeah, it's a good spike too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's ringing. It's kind of a long, drawn out ring, though. Huh. Nice. You also need an oscilloscope. Nice. Yeah. Kind of hard to do some of this stuff without it. So that's the earth ground. Looks like a trouble. I guess we're going to have to wait for Dennis to get back because it's interesting. But he also does different things in his experiment. That's why I kind of caution going deep into it because he has spark gaps and he runs a negative field, positive field, all of it. So kind of like some context with it. Have I had? Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I have. We're talking about my gravity flyer. Yes, I've had some success in tuning things in. uh, let's see. Yes, that was 2 foot from the coil with a spark gap near to it. Okay. Well, that spark gap would probably be the reason for the spike then. They pull a energy spike sometimes when you get a spark gap. I've noticed that. Interesting. Yeah, getting that thing tuned, I'll tell you this, it holds the energy a lot longer is what I'm getting out of it. And that was kind of the main point because before I would get energy start to build up, I'd get a random spike and it would die. So yeah, much better on what I'm doing now. Okay, you send me a picture of it. Cool. Let's see, no breakout up to secondary. Okay. You are 0.17 amps, 12 volts in, and wow, 7.12 volts out. LOL. Yeah, drops of voltage there, right? Picking up something in a different field. Okay, give me a second. I can tell you what it is right now. Same problem Joe was talking about. Your resistor broke. That's not your transistor. That's a resistor. Those I gotta get new ones, man. I don't like these things at all. That's a 47K ohm resistor. Those are a couple cents, and that's what it looks like. It broke right there. You see, the end is just broken right off. All right, that means that I got to do a better job on working with these things. Then, uh, are you okay to solder things? You have the ability to do that there where you are, dead fish. Right on, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, if you can solder it in, man, it's just one solder point and you'll be done. Yeah, you got it? Okay. Yeah, so it's I'll type it in here. 47K OHM That's what you're looking for. Right there. That's all you need. Yeah, I'm sorry that that happened. So I'll send you the diagram as well. Well, it should be pretty much self-explanatory. There was two wires that go into it on one side, and then the other side just went into into the actual transistor. So yeah, cool. If that's all it is, man, you'll be up and running within a day, in like maybe 5 minutes, if that. Right on, brother. Appreciate it, crypto. Yeah, if I could find a better 47K ohm resistor, I'm going to put it in everything I do now. So I'm going to order different types of them and see which one works best. I don't like how those break off because I've had it happen to me once before, and I always thought the same thing after that. You don't want a lesser value one. You just keep with what's there. That's what oscillates that field properly. I'm right there with you, brother. Nice. By the way, I wanted to say earlier before the show started, Darren gifted one Old Man Field membership, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Let's see, carbon or emitter film resistor or wire. Okay, I'll look into those. Got it. Yeah, probably a much better project or product. I'm sorry. What's up? What's going on, man? Let's see. Oh, you were asking what kind I used? I just used the cheapy one from Amazon. I have no idea which one that is. It's probably not the good one. 100 for $5.99. That's cheaper than dirt. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it is. Dirt costs a lot these days, especially in California. Oh, sorry about that, John. Yeah, I was just using the regular kind, man. I'm not sure which one it was. Listening while at work, huh, crypto? Nice. Mm, yeah. No, Sean had some bigger ones, man. They were about this long. These other ones are this tiny. It was about this long, and he used it for his. I think I'm gonna get that kind and start using that one. Yeah, there you go. Pay $1 for a good one. Nice. 1 watt. I don't know where that 1 watt comes from. Get yourself some flashlight batteries and remove the carbon rods. Interesting. You can just buy a carbon rod over on Amazon. Are you trying to say to put it down the center of the coil? It'd be an interesting experiment, that's for sure. For resistors, carbon rods for resistors. Man, I'm all over the place. I'm trying, Brendan. Trying to understand what you're talking about. Well, I'm the guy that needs 100 of those. You should see my bench right now. It's covered in Tesla coils, man. Oh, man. That's funny. That is funny, man. Well, cool. You get it up and running, man. We get some pictures out of you. You can see what's going on there. Keep 10 and send the rest. Nice. Um, Battery core, yeah. That's interesting. Costs more for this damn. That's why you get Amazon, man. You get that free shipping when you're the member there, and you get all that stuff, the rewards. That's what I like, man. You get it shipped to you for free. You don't have to worry about it. You get something that's broken, you send it back. It's old school, man. So I always tell you, get your power sources there because you never know, man. You may fry one quick and send it back. Who knows? I generally just keep buying new ones. I think you got a stack of them over there I need to look into to fix. But yeah, I fried one with static electricity just by not putting a box under it. That's why you see some of my experiments, there's boxes under stuff because I fried the living daylights out of a whole bunch of components, man. That just leaving on top of a melamine table with static electricity. Oh man, that day sucked. Nice. You got them coming on Sundays. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I want to see those things up and going. Yeah. Just remember, Joe did the same thing you were talking about, by the way. First thing he does is immediately stick something down the center of it, man, without turning it off first, and fries it. So yeah, a lot of people do that, man, right away. I'm talking to another guy that bought one. He did the same thing. He frying stuff, putting down the center of it. All kind of wacky stuff goes on with this stuff, man. I should start sending out an extra transistor with this stuff. That way, people have it. Maybe a couple resistors and a transistor would save me people a lot of trouble. And then just put the diagram in there with it. I think that's what I'm going to start doing. What's going on, man? Ireland. Right on, brother. Sent the video from the scope doing crazy pops. Okay, give me a second. Right on. All right. Let me take a look at my email real quick. Well, you sent the email, but the video did not come with it. So, yeah, I didn't even get a picture on that one. You're going to have to resend it. Right on, man. How are you connected, Dennis? Might have been too big. Yeah, probably was. Let's see what we got going on in here. Yeah, we'll look at it. As soon as you get it to me, man, we'll put it up. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. A lot more experiments going on. Gotta love that, dude. Gotta love that. So, yeah, I had to go out. I'll show you guys a quick video real quick while we're chatting. Kind of how to build one of these things in case you wanted to know. I'm going to do a little behind the scenes action here. This right here is my blank. And what this is used for is, you see this bottom here? It's got a certain diameter to it. Well, that matches that. So what I do is I take this coil here. It comes out big like this. And we simply want to wrap it to be like this right here in the small diameter. Now, this is a coil right here where I did it already. And you can see how clean that looks. And it just starts like this. The coil itself on the number 2 is wound this way, just like that, same way. So all we're going to do is do it the same way. Now, I already have this one started a little bit, but let me show you how it works. Push that back together. That's where I cut it the last time. And all I'm doing here is taking this and I'm winding it around this. As you can see, we get a nice turn. Tighten them up, just like that. Now we have a nice coil, right? Take out our blank. We're good to start winding. Check the end, make sure there's no burrs. Now, let's go over to our plastic. We're looking for this hole here, the closest one to the top. You always know because the next one is a blank. You're going to start winding it in. Now, one thing important before you start this process, make sure all the holes are cleared out. There's a kind of a trick to this. So let's look at it from this aspect. Right here is where we have our hole and we have our top. Now on this, I have to push it up a little bit every time in order to get it to spin around. So here we go. I'm just going to work my fingers. And we're going to spin, right? And it's going to get stuck a little bit. So you take your thumb, you push up. Now you take your fingers and work it. Get it going through the next hole. It'll start to guide itself. Push your thumb up. So it's guiding itself. Now, it's just working its way around. You can see it. Put your thumb up a little bit. Work it. This should not be a hard process. It goes fairly easy. Push your thumb up. There we go. Got a little stuck. Put your thumb up. There we go again. Make sure it goes in every hole. You do not want to bind these things. You start binding them, you start breaking stuff. Just keep. And you see it kind of fast. Let me slow-mo a little bit for you. I take my right thumb, I push it up a little bit. That's going to give me distance here. That distance here will stop it from rubbing. Therefore, it goes in that hole a lot easier. Now, my thumb works it, and I'm working it on the backside with my fingers like this. Just like that, push it up. Pull it through, keep working it. We're almost done here. Now I can feel binding a little bit. Make sure it's clear. You hear that? That's a bind. You hear it again? Anytime you hear that, it's a bind or it's a stuck. The last thing you want to do is be forcing this thing through here. It should glide. There it goes. A little bad, but we're still good. It may make a sound, but we're still pushing it through there pretty good. Let's see, here's where we are. We know we got this. We know I have our last hole right here, and it's going to go here. Now, I can tell you when you count these off, it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And usually I already have it pre-cut. If you're not sure, you're like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's when this one right here. Pull those up. You can pull this one up right here. Take your little mini tool right here. Get it clamped on there. Now, what do you say we got no room? Not a big deal. We just unwind it just a little bit. Now we got room. Like I said, normally if you do this for a while, you pre-cut these. And all I'm doing is tightening this thing as I spin it, and it cuts it perfect. Bend it back down, just like that. Work it back through. If you end up with a piece like this and you don't like it, see that, how it comes off? Take your thumb under there, put pressure, bend it down. Do not bend it on top of this. Make sure your thumb gets in there. And yes, it does help to have gorilla hands sometimes. Now, as we can see, we turned out good right there. Got a little bit left over. Take the cap off. Cap goes on top. You have a nicely wound #1 coil. Now, the hard part begins. Sorry, I just kicked that. You see this little hole on the bottom? That is on the inside here. You can see it. That has to be lined up with your wire. Now, which side's the bottom? This side's the bottom. This little tiny wire has got to go in that hole. Once you do that and you have it lined up in there, you'll end up with a coil that looks like that. That's beautiful, isn't it? What I like to do is I match the colors. So this is a real light natural color on the #2 right here. And then on the #1, I pick the light color. This is another color that comes in, and it's a little darker. So sometimes the winding needs to be different. But as you can see, we got the right color on the one we did. I think it comes out better. Just something you got to do when you get parts in. Sometimes they're not always right. Now, this part's the pain. You see in there, that little hole? I got to get this little wire in there. So, take your phone, take your light. Let's get some light. Grab our coil, straighten this out as much as we can. Don't want it crooked. Now we put this on the edge where the hole lines up right here so we can see it going down. Now, we got it in there now. Take a look at that. You can barely see it, but we have perfect alignment, especially where it goes down. Now we're good to go. From this point, we flip. Now we're working on this side. We need to clean this up and get ready to solder a wire onto it. All right, now let's take a look at this. We have our wire here. And we're all lined up. What we need to do is cut it now. How much do we cut it? You want to leave about a thumb's length on the end, right here, and cut it to that. We're going to be putting shrink tube on it, and we got to clear the stuff off of it. So on every one of these, unless it's solder through wire, which this is not, I'm going to have to clean off the enamel on the end. So simply just going to take my razor blade here and clean it off. Make it that way, turn it that way, turn it back this way. All I'm trying to do is get every side of this. I want to have a good contact. This is very important. Now, there's other methods of doing this. People use fire, stuff like that. I don't like to do that. not my thing. All right, that's cleaned off. We're good to go. Got to take our wire in here now. Use thick wire on this part here. You may be building this for a ZVS, or excuse me, for a Slayer slider, but we need it to work for the ZVS. This right here, all we need to do is cut it to about this length here. Clear the end, make sure we're good. Clean off anything that needs to be cleaned off right here. And you can't barely see that wire. We have our piece of shrink tube right here. I'm going to cut that down. That right there, and we got our super glue here. We're going to need that. So I'll take a soldering iron. Just hang that right off the side. There we go. Had to turn the iron up a little bit. All right. Now, since it's got an open end on the one side, we're going to wait for our shrink tube. We're just going to get it attached here. If you can't see it, get your reading glasses out. This is where it sucks. All right, we're good and we're on there. It's important to make sure that's on there good. Now you slide the shrink tube right over it. Again, some people use fire for this portion. I take the part right here, my soldering iron. That is not the tip. Never use the tip. You're going to wipe off a bunch of metal onto here you don't want. There you go. We are now on there good. We got our piece. It's now ready to go. Now, what's the super glue for? We need a chemical bond. We need this plastic to bond with this wire so it never pulls out on us. Got our super glue ready. We're going to get our black tape ready. Now, don't be shy about putting it in here. Again, you're not taking this back out. If you want a secondary that comes out so you can switch it, don't do this. You get it in there, you got plenty of lube in there, or plenty of stuff. Just put a little tape over it. Now, put a weight over it, let it sit. Here's what's going to happen. The super glue is going to get in there and chemically heat the plastic. it is then going to start to bond that plastic with the shrink tube. Now this doesn't come out. Once you do this, that number 2 coil is going to be in there. There's one more step in the process to get that number 2 to bind in there. And it kind of goes like this. Let's put this one to the side. You got this. You get this in there. The second part of the process here is you go down the center here. You're going to take your super glue. I'm going to put the cap on this because I do not want it in there yet. And what you're going to do is this. You put your hand down in there and you turn it. Now, where are you turning it at? You see the little black part in there? And you got the white? Basically, all you're doing is sealing those two together. You want the PVC and the plastic to seal together. Therefore, you put the super glue there on that seam, holds it together, makes a nice bond. This right here, I usually give it about 5 minutes before I ever start working it again. So we have this. This is the part here, and then this end we'll get a little clip on it. All right, we're on to our last 2 parts here. We have our wire that we stuck in the bottom. We need to put a male clip onto that. They come with this thing here. Guys, I hate crimping things and I refuse to do it. I'm simply going to take this. I'm going to get rid of that piece of junk. And we got pieces of shrink tube here. And yes, I do forget like you. So make sure you get those on there. Put them down low so the heat don't get to them. All right. Okay. I just want to answer this, guys. Why would I not crimp it? I know a lot of people are just saying, oh, just crimp it. You'll be done with it in, half the time. When you start running 80 to 100 volts in this on the ZVS and you want it to put big sparks in the air, the last thing you need is that thing coming off. Crimping has a very crappy way of sealing it together. And when you're pushing the high voltages, man, no thank you. I much prefer it being on there and soldered. Now, if you're going to go, well, the heat of the electricity is going to burn the solder right through and it'll come off. Well, if you're doing it wrong, it will. Yeah, absolutely. If you use a battery cable to run on your number 2 coil in order to get it to running, then yeah, you're going to have a ton of problems. Buddy, I could take a dollar store clip, one of those cheap wires, and run my coil because the resonance is right. So it doesn't have any buildup in it. So yeah, but you gotta have the correct connectors in there, and that's why they're done that way. I won't do it any other way. If it comes off at somebody's house, man, they may not be able to fix it. They may, not know it's that way, and they may zap the living daylights of themselves. Why would I even take the risk? So, yeah. Anyway, the rest of the video, man, there's not really much going on. You put it on there, you put the connectors on there, and you're ready to go test. Those coils, man. Here, I'll put the end up just so you can see the what it looks like. So, crimp it's very easy, man. This part's a little bit harder right there. You got to pull it out and seal it up a little bit. And then you got to get the pipe hot enough for it to solder in. Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, but it comes out good. Put the heat shrink over it, man. It's cleaned up. And then tape it again on the top. There we go, guys. That's the coil that I was building, man. Yeah, right on. Yeah, hit the like button, man. I appreciate it. Push this thing out to more people. Yeah, but you can see I got a couple of those. I got one more to build of that color right there. And then we're going, I have a bunch of red ones that are done. And then, yeah, we're going to sell a whole bunch. Man, I got an SD shop out there. Yeah, I sell them on SD. You could just contact me on my email and get it a lot cheaper. I add the SD cost to the price on the on that site. So if you want it cheaper, just hit me up on my email. It's you know what I mean. It's going to come out to you in the same amount of time and everything else. And I always do a verification video anytime I build a coil. You know that it works, then I send it off to you. If there's a simple problem I can fix, I don't mind sending you another part or something like that. That's not really a hard thing. Joe's been on me to put a power source with these things, so I found one that I was acceptable to. Normally, I would say just get a 48 volt power source. If you switch to a ZVS later, it works on it just fine. There is an adjustable power source at Amazon that I will send out with the coils from here on in, and it'll go up to 38 volts. So the max on the circuit's 40, so 38 volts is probably perfect for it, and it'll put out a monster field. And it'll be able to just plug into the side. There's no figuring out which wire what, so I think I'm going to do that. But yeah, these things are gorgeous. You can see the red coils behind me on this side over here. And then on that side over there, that side, you can see that other coil right there built. The other one I shipped out this morning to a customer on there. So pretty exciting stuff, man. Thank you very much, guys. I try to my best to be a perfectionist when I build a coil. If you're going to spend some money on it, man, you might as well look pretty. You know what I mean? It should be an art piece, but work like a, MF, or you know what I'm saying? It really push out that field for you. So, you forgot which PNP, 2SA1963. It is a Toshiba, and that's a transistor. 2SA1962. I believe it was 962 or 362. I think it is 1962. Yeah, thank you for that. And you can get them on eBay, by the way. I've been looking on there. I wanted to buy like 40 sets, and they have like 15, I think, at the most. So, right on, brother. You're having so much fun with my old man Ben's call. You'll show videos soon. Right on, man. Very cool. Yeah, we'll throw it up at the end when we put it on the music, man. And we'll all take a look at it. We'll throw some experiments in there, man. Awesome, man. Yeah, these coils, I'm telling you, it is. I'll say this as a caveat. Most time people build these things, you see them on the internet. That's what's on yours. Yes. You'll see them on the internet, and you'll see them with this little G44 chip. And, some of my favorite videos are with those, and they keep putting them in. And they got like 6 of these things, and they're still frying every one of them. And they turned on their coil for a few seconds. They got a little light bulb to light up. And then that was their whole journey with the Tesla coil. They spent 3 days making this thing, and then they turned it on for 2 seconds. So absolutely, absolutely amazing, man. So yeah, I think I'll give everybody a great experiment. If you're going to pay the money, you get something great. So just keep the power source and everything as far away from it as you possibly can, and then run it. Man, the fields on this thing are just amazing. They're huge. Yeah, I love this thing. It competes with the ZVS on the field, but it's a self-oscillator, so it corrects itself. So when you have the power source next to it, it tries to correct the power source with it and resonate with the power source. So if it's too close, the power source will drop power and go to 10 volts. And then all of a sudden, you'll jump up to like 20 or 30. It did it to me on the last live, man. And it'll start blowing things out. It blew out my computer twice, and I had to reset. So, yeah, just keep things away from it. And that's why I was having a problem on my gravity flyer. It's a Slayer exciter. It's not grounded, and it's a circuit that goes out there and tries to pull things in resonance with it. I mean, think about that. That's what's going on in there that I was missing. Yet I'm seeing it as soon as I test every coil and I put my power source too close to it. It's kind of one of those anomalies you write down so that other people know it, and then you tell people that it's going on so that they understand it. ZVS is more of a direct hit. That is, put it on the frequency, it will not change. It stays right there. And you can put it to that same frequency across the room, right? And then it'll start up another coil just for you, just like that. The Slayer Exciter, if your body's in the way, your body capacitance, everything, to pull 11 feet out of a Slayer Exciter is amazing, dude. And I did that at half power on that circuit. So, let's see. I built my coils following the Slayer Exciter coil videos. It's not hard. Right on, brother. Right on. Yeah, for those of you who do not know, Maya here won the Tesla coil last time, along with Dead Fish, and he lived in a different place, so he couldn't get the coil. So later on, Joe and I are going to come up with another thing to give another one of these away. So I don't know what we'll be doing, but we'll find something fun to do. I think it's only right, you know, 2 people won, so we'll gift it to the next person. So be awesome, man. No, recommend this. Nice. Right on, brother. Yeah, we always pay one forward, don't we? That's the way we're supposed to do it. So, yeah, I like having fun, man. Everybody else get in the game and try different things and always get some awesome videos. So that reminded me, Dennis said on his channel, he had the video. So let me find it and then I'll link to it. There it is. I must say it's this one, right? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Nice. Hey, let me ask you that little oscilloscope. Do you like that thing? It's that little one, right? For like $30. Is that the one you're using? The yellow one? Do you like that thing? Is it do okay? I'm kind of curious because I'm working on that ZVS with a cap bank, and I'm thinking people need an oscilloscope with it. And if I could put a $40 oscilloscope over there with it, you know what I mean, so that they can just check frequencies, I think that'd be cool. So I've never worked with the product, so that's why I'm asking. You're gonna have a plethora of resistors. Nice. Yeah, it's singing. Yeah. You want me to do a rodent coil giveaway? I mean, I could build one. Shipping is, man, that thing weighs a ton. It works good. The learning curve is steep. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, man, is I haven't had time to put the circuit together for it the proper way, and Ben hasn't sent out any circuits for it with his way. I'll say this: if we can get Ben in on the deal, man, and get us a circuit that works for it, and or I come up with one first, well, I don't mind doing that. I mean, it didn't take that long to build. I think it took as long as it takes me to build a Tesla coil. So, yeah, it's not a problem. It's just shipping. But, you know, it's it's about the one spool of wire for £5. It's almost 5 pounds of wire in this thing. So just so you know, that thing's a beast. But we can use different wire size, I guess. Um, hmm. Right on. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I was looking at the one that does multiple things. It was like $80, and it was an oscilloscope, and it was also a oh man, what is it? A regular meter that you can check your voltage and amperage on. And let's see, it was something else. Oh, it was a frequency generator that came on. It was all together for like $80. So I was kind of thinking that one, but then why buy it from me when you could just buy it from Amazon? So I'm trying to find a way to incorporate stuff so that people have it, because the horrible thing about a ZVS is you're going to have some hardware with it to understand it. It's not as easy as plug and play. With a cat bank, it becomes easier to plug and play with it. And if we could do that, that might be in lieu of putting, an oscilloscope there for a couple $100. But yeah, if you're going to run AC out of it in any way, you probably would love to have an oscilloscope. But DC, not a problem. DC, by the way, on the ZVS, you could just run whatever frequency you want. It depends on the amount of resonance in it when you're running it. You know what I mean? But you can run it at a frequency that might be bad, but start up another coil across the room without even realizing it, because the frequencies match. So that's what I love about that ZVS. Nice. Oh, you have two of them. Nice. Let me see. I can pull it up. Yeah, just give me a second. Look through my cart here that has 50 million things. Oh, here we go. That's the one I was looking at on there. And let me see. This is the one right here, I believe Dennis has. So yeah, you can take a look at both of them and see which one you like. But Dennis has, I believe, the yellow one. So nice. Yeah, I'm just looking for something. I have a regular oscilloscope I use for all my stuff, but if we can get a little one that's cheap, you know what I mean, to go with the coil set, it'd be awesome. Hopefully everything's well with her, John. Hopefully everything works out. Yeah. All right. There you go. That's it. Nice. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll get some of this stuff up and running, man. People get going. We'll have to find some kind of event we can do it though. But yeah, if you guys want to do rodent call instead of a Tesla call, maybe we just give the person an option. I can build another rodent call. I'll probably do a tutorial video on it, and then do a circuit video on it. That way everybody has it and we're up to speed. And we'll just do it as a jewel thief circuit and run it. That way, no confusion on it. I start putting down circuits that you guys don't notice what there's going on. It's going to be kind of freaky for people when they open it up. Oh, let's see. Battery lasts forever. Nice. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get them going, man. Yeah, but those Tesla coils, man, it works out when you build those STLs the right way. You're building the plastic part. Man, it comes out just like beautiful. And, the frequency gets better too. Because they're not bouncing around, it stays in the same spot. It's more consistent. So that's the one thing I like about that plastic on it. Let's see. Show let's one wire single wind. Interesting. I don't know which one that is. Let's see. Put a microwave diode on the output. It directly charges the frequency of the AC on the ignition coil output. Interesting. Geometry field program. Nice. Yeah, you know, I always said this, guys. I try to stay away from some of the stuff that Ben and Gerald work on. It's kind of their thing, you know what I mean? I do this thing, they do that thing. I don't mind doing a little crossover as long as it's with them. So if they're up for it, we'll do it. That's all I'll say about it. I'm swamped right now, man. I've been building Tesla coils, like I said. Geez, I spent all Saturday with my wife's little reading glasses on, right? And I'm winding coils, looking at this little tiny, 32 gauge wire and making sure it lines up. So you have all of them around here, right? And then the one that comes in has to go kind of, I want to say it like this, a little bit of crossover as it feeds in. And if you don't have that little crossover as it feeds in, it'll either blow this way or that way, and it'll screw up the whole wind. Anyway, but by looking at it and watching it, I can keep track of it and get that thing in there with tight winds and perfect. Otherwise, it's just kind of all over the place, and it makes a real loose coil, and loose coils suck. So, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, those rodent coils. I got a piece of PVC about this long. It's like a giant sewing needle for that thing, man. And you're running it down the center and you're sewing with it, and that's all it is. And you're putting it in the grooves. Yeah, that thing was a trip when I built it, when Ben was putting up the videos on how to do it. It was awesome. Oh, nice. Where is Gerald? Dude, I don't know. He broke off contact with myself. I don't know if he did with Ben or not. I have no idea what he's doing these days. I couldn't tell you. I hope he's well and doing well, though. I always liked the guy, man, and I hope he continues to do well in life. I just have no idea. Let's see. I had that magnet ball spinning. I can spin a magnet ball in any magnetic field. That one, it's kind of like I call it a little bit of a parlor trick. Once you know how to spin it inside of a coil, you keep doing it. I gutted a little bit of a potato out and put it in there with some soap, and it just spun like an eyeball in the potato, which in hindsight, I should have drawn on the potato a little bit and made it some color to make it look like an eyeball and put it 2 sockets and put the coil behind it with a picture of a guy's face and have it spinning around like a fake eyeball. That would have been awesome. But yeah, nice. Yeah, dude, I miss Gerald as well, man. I really do. So, yeah, it was a funny video. I always got to mess with people a little bit, man. Like those spinners. Why stop with a rotating spinner when you can make it rotate with 4 or 5 different fields coming off of it? And then why stop there? Why not make the reverse to it and do one spinning one way and then one spinning the other way at the same time? So that one was pretty cool. As a matter of fact, man, let me see if I'll just throw that one up, brother. Counter rotation. It's breaking out ion wind everywhere. Nice. There we go. Magnetar, I can do that. Oh, it's the sound. Okay. Well, that one doesn't have the music. That sucks. We'll go to this other one. Let me see. Did I do it with the other one? What did I do with this one?
The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds.
Funny what you could do with all those plasma, man. Nice. Oh man, let's see real quick what Joe's music got. He said he put up a new one, didn't he? Where's it at? There we go. Hopefully we don't get in trouble.
Terrified of the mind that thinks the thoughts, paralyzed all the time, tethered soul of sorts, sending out cryptic signs, crack the code, walk the line, realize you are here to serve your time. Here we are, part of the matrix, woven in the pattern, only one can save us. Everything connected, everything are the same. Looking for a savior to get back from where you came, getting lost in the process, sidetracked for success, programmed in a panic, baptized in static, feeding on the noise, now the silence feels manic. Reflections glitch in a mirror I made, built from shame, lit with blame in the ghost arcade. Truth is a virus that won't stay contained, rewrites the script in the back of your brain. March to the hum of a memory burned. Salvation's a myth that we never quite earned. Caught in the loop, addicted to pain, drip fed dopamine, shackled and chained. They sell you dreams with a barcoded face, while angels decay in a corporate embrace. Call back your fucking soul. Wake me up inside this dream loop fracture, tearing at the seams like a failed manufacture. Cold red pulse in a cage of design, where the light breaks through the confines. One flame, one thread, one signal remains. I was born in the breach with the spark in my veins. Bring me, bend me, I won't drift astray. I'm a voice in the current and I came to stay. One flame, one word, all of the same. We're all of the same. This is all I can. Dissected by data, dissected by doubt. Upload the drama, then filter it out. We're all just echoes in the one divine, lost in form but stitched in time. Chi energy in the bloodstream, heartbeat, stutter, sleepwalking sons, mind wash mothers. We pray through silence, we speak in waves, searching the source through the digital haze. This ain't fate, it's the feedback call. Sacred code scrawled on the server wall. Dead eye scan for a spark inside, but the key's been hidden in the open wide. One flame, one thread, one vision remains. We were forged in the breach, now we channel the pain. Break me, bend me, I won't go tame. I'm the glitch in the grid, remember the name. One flame, one truth, no more shame. This is all reclaimed. Rather than a loading screen, cracked wide open by the unseen. This world don't run on steel or sin. It turns on the love you bury within. Tethered to flesh, but I hacked the spark. Lit the dark with a scream so sharp. Now I wear the storm like a second skin, where the wound lets the wisdom in. Whispers from the back end, truth from the deep, spoken by the light that won't let me sleep. Every fracture was the voice in disguise. Every shadow just wide-eyed by one flame, one thread, we're calling the name I became the surge they could never contain. Twist me, tear me, I still remain. I'm the breath in the fire, the pulse in the frame. One flame, one fate, one source untamed. This is all blame. One flame. We burst the light, reclaim the name. The glitch was God, rewriting the game.
That's pretty cool, man. Nice. Yeah, it'd probably sound better if you were too. Oh man, nice. Yeah, it was a good song. There you go. Yeah, well, he's using the AI and flipping it around, huh? Nice. Needs to put a bra on some of his women there. Nice. Right on, brother. Right on. He said no. Don't do that. Yeah, well, sometime inappropriate for the audience, you know what I'm saying? Oh, nice. Right on. Okay. Talk from Ben. What are you having trouble with your Tesla coil about? Nice. Oh man. Yeah, if you have something about the Tesla coil, let me know by all means. I'll try to help you out. So nice. Okay. Stop sharing that one. That was pretty cool. Joe got some cool stuff going on there. Always coming out with the music, man. Always on top of it. All right. What else you guys want to talk about? Anybody see anything cool lately? I know a lot of the stuff out there, they're kind of repeating the same stuff, man. I don't know how many times I've seen the same thing over and over and over again. Seen a lot of that. Yeah, never had trouble before, but I can't get it to work. Slayer Cider style. I tried NPN and PNP. Use your circuit. You can't get it to run at all, huh? Well, let's go over it a little bit. Which one are you currently working with, the NPN or PNP on there? Because I give you the correct directions for it. Usually, I'll say it this way: if you're using a Z44, you might want to look at how hot your iron is, because it'll blow that little MOSFET out just with your soldering iron. I think I'm going to have 7 primary windings, 12 gauge, and I have 30 gauge, about 200 turns to 2,000 turns. Okay, well that should be, you should be working. I would probably at that right there, I probably would around four on the primary, but that's okay. You go PNP, so you're running the negative through the circuit, so you should have negative connected into your 47K ohm resistor that also connects to the bottom of your Tesla coil on the bottom part of the winding. The let's see, it also goes into, you said PNP, it goes into the 3rd slot. So if you're looking straight at the transistor, 1, 2, 3 to your left, it'll be that one right there. The far right one's going to be your positive. The center one right there is going to go to your number 2 winding. You're going to have, let me think about it. No, it doesn't go to your number 2 winding. The center one goes off to the adjustable part on your coil, which would be the top of your number 1. And then you're going to pull a wire straight off of the other side of that 47 k ohm resistor, and that is going to go to the secondary on the coil. That's PNP. What may be happening is maybe you twisted your number 1 winding, go the opposite direction of the winding of your number 2. That usually stalls it out. If you have something else connected on the wrong spot, it'll stall it out. You get a voltage value on there, but it'll stall it out. If you ran it in reverse on the positive and negative on any one of those transistors without a resistor in place, you're going to fry it. That's normally what happens in those type of circuits right away. You don't realize it, you've already fried it. And there's no coming back from that. If you got a video of it, we'll take a look at it. But yeah, the connections are there. It might just be you're running backwards on something. I would check the winding direction first. I did that. I took a $50 board and blew it up. Then I repaired it and blew it up again, bought another one and blew it up because I did not realize I had it backwards when I first started doing this stuff. Yeah, that happens quite a bit. Yes, it does. The primary and secondary run in the same direction. If you don't, it will not work properly. Matter of fact, it probably won't work at all. So yeah, you have to keep that one straight in your head, especially if you do reverse windings on everything. You're normally running it one way and you do a reverse winding. Oh man, make your head explode. You got to write it down on everything. Yeah, it will. Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah, it's important for the direction. Absolutely. Cancels itself out, yeah. It just creates heat. That's all it does. Blows things up. That's pretty much what it does. Causes complete resistance in your circuit and fries everything. So can we run it horizontal, put the primary in the middle on yours? You run the ZVS? The answer is yes. You can make it a bipolar coil and put that thing right in the center of it and work it, yes. The number, instead of grounding out the coil, the 2 wires are going to be opposing each other. Therefore, you do not need to ground at that point in the GVS circuit. So GVS is basically the 2 wires that come off of it go into your capacitors, and those go into the number 1 winding on top and bottom. The number 2 coil was normally connected to your ground. You no longer need that in a bipolar Tesla coil. You basically, the wires that come off the ends spark towards each other. So yeah, I've done it on the channel, and it works great. And I ran a Slayer and got it to work, which had forced oscillation, but I think it ran more or less like a regular coil. It just cut off half the frequency. So the ZVS absolutely is for a bipolar Tesla coil. That's probably the better one. Yeah, get back to me, man, if you need help on that. If you got some troubleshooting you need to do, dude, I'll get on with you one-on-one, man, and we'll do it. And we'll get you straightened out and back up on and running. Let's see. You saw me do that. Nice. Yeah, well, I'll trip you guys out, man, with more builds like that, because some of that stuff, I think we could start running another winding in the center and run dual ZVSs on it. So there's some other stuff out there to be done with these coils. We're not done by any means. As soon as I can get on board with building these things and building, other things, we can start running a lot more tests. I think on my next couple of videos, I'm going to do some testing on there to show some people. And I think that'd probably be good because a lot of people are getting these coils now and starting to work with them. So I think that's going to work out for us. Usually I do the water experiment, so maybe we'll try something different. We'll just do some straight voltage or something. I know that that PMP circuit, man, we could do the walking voltage on the water. And then I bet you I could take a saw blade and I can make it look like it's walking on top of the saw blade as well. That's pretty cool. I always wanted to make it do the halo bridge where you take high voltage and you put the saw blade here and you put a round rod here and you get it to just plasma straight across it like it's a walking on bridge of plasma. I always wanted to try that with my Tesla coil. And if we can do that, man, then we can pretty much run a plasma thruster or an ion thruster, and then that would start to have interesting effects because now we can push the limit on how much we can push through there. That might be the better trick if we can get the bridge to work. Let's see, if I have 3-foot coil with approximately 3,000 turns on the 30 gauge wire, 3-foot PVC, then I use 4-inch PVC pipe and sleeve. How many turns of 12 gauge would I wind? You have 3,000 turns at 30 gauge on, is it a 3-inch pipe or 4-inch? I use 4-inch PVC pipe. Okay. 4-inch PVC, 3,000 turns. So if I'm not mistaken, about 3 feet. So like one of my tall ones, pretty big. But at 30 gauge, yeah. So I use 28 gauge and I was at 2 feet and I had it right around 310 on the kilohertz. So you're probably at a 4-inch pipe right there. If I had to guess, you're probably 30 gauge, not 30, not 28. You're probably up down further in the 260s, 260, 250 on your resonance on that. And then in order to be in that resonance, if you used a 1/4-inch hollow, you would need 3 windings, if I'm not mistaken, with 12 gauge wire. So you're basically using wall wire, right? On that type of coil, anywhere from 4 to 6 is where I'd probably be on that. If it's a Slayer exciter, if you're in a ZVS, you want to go more than that. The ZVS has to be kind of like dead on. Slayer exciter doesn't. If you're in Slayer exciter, run your 7 windings, you'd be good. It'll self-oscillate itself to the right frequency, but I would only go about 5 wraps on it. But I've seen people do like 8 wraps and they use a Slayer exciter and it works out perfect. So yeah, I mean, to me, 6-8 wraps, just right around there, that'd probably be good. You're only looking at about this much winding on the whole entire thing. You're not spaced apart. That was one of the reasons for the 1/4-inch copper, is that you space it apart a little bit so that it has a better run on the frequency and stuff. So interesting. Yeah, Java T. Yeah, I use that one too. You can trick it if you put in the right numbers. I did a video on it, and you can put it in there and get the right numbers. Interesting. I run a 1 megahertz Tesla coil where I use that wall wire. I think it's 14 gauge though, 12.2. No, you're right, 12.2. So we're at 12 gauge, and I only run 4 windings on it for the 1 megahertz. And when I run these big ones on there, and you can see it right over my shoulder right there in red. That's a 1 megahertz Tesla coil, and it's only got 4 windings on it. So Maybe you're right to put more on there. Yeah, you have it run tight. I would imagine you do. Yeah. Well, you're basically just putting a magnetic field in there to, oscillate this thing. So, yeah, rip it with what you got. I think your problem is either the way it's wound on there. Or if the circuit's 100% correct and your transistor's good, you probably have something wound an opposite direction. That would be my number one thing to look at. And trust me, I've done it myself. Wow, nice. Yeah, so if you're gonna do that, if you got a 3D printer, I think I saw that on your channel a while back. Print that base off, man, and give yourself some distance. It's a 1/2 inch all the way around. Is generally what I go. So if you got a 4-inch pipe, go with a 5-inch diameter, um, you know, uh, STL file right there, and wrap that. You'd be good with that. Let's see. You have 8 turns of 16 AWG. Nice. You got a real thin primary, but it's not working correct. Also, let's see. Going to the copper tube. The copper tube is easier to put things in resonance, by the way. It allows you the opportunity, if you put a clip on it, to move spots on it where the wire that has the insulation on it doesn't. That's what I prefer, moving a clip. And I have on my channel the directions on how to make that clip, because you can't find them anywhere and they don't make them. So I might have to, get out the tool and die equipment and make a die for it so that we can just crimp them in there and build those things in mass, because I can't find them anywhere. I had to build my own. Coil with the 3,000 turns on a 3-inch pipe. Interesting. So you're building kind of, a good couple feet of pipe, huh, for all your coils? Interesting. I have one I'm looking at right now that has an 8-inch wide pipe that I want to build. Nice. The 4-inch one is with the 12 gauges wound on. It'll work. Look, it'll work. You have to just have something wrong with it. The Slayer exciter should smooth it out a little bit. And it depends also on how well your transistor works. I run an NPN and a PNP, and I can put things way out and get them to work. And it all depends on what you're running. About 3 feet, yeah. 3 foot high. Interesting. Yeah, it's a big coil, brother. Big coil. That's why it took forever to wind 30 gauge wire. There's a hand winding, even if you got a wheel to spin it on. That's still several hours. So 30 gauge isn't much different than 32 is what I wind all the time. Uh 21994 is that. I'll pull it up right now, see if I can't highlight that. Hang on. What do you say? MJL. Interesting. Copy that. Uh, 200. Here we go. Emitter base voltage 5 volts. Collector base 400. Emitter volts is 215, 16 amps. That's not a bad deal there. Let's see, what's your switching speed? Let me see. Sorry, give me a second. I'll show everybody. BJT bipolar, that's correct. You're on an NPN, is what it's running. NPN's opposite of the PNP you were telling me. Yeah, I don't know the oscillation speed on that. I'll have to look at it some more. Oh, what late did it fast? Nice. Yeah, both, so it's cool. Right on. Nice. What's the temperature on this thing? Let's see. Maximum operating 150C. So so you should get a field out of it at least 3 foot plus. That should be pretty good for you too. You probably throw what, like 30 volts or 40 volts into that thing at max when it runs. You wind by hand. That dude, winding by hand is tough. I have the winder, and I sometimes have to roll it by hand because it looks like stretching the wire or something else. I didn't like the look of it. So until I can adjust that, I spin them by hand. Nice. The one that Bedini circuit uses. Right on, brother. I appreciate it. Like a master? What's a master? I'm unfamiliar with the term. Nice. Like a laser master. You would have to do a little bit more work to get it into a laser. I'll say that. Interesting. I do have a coil inside of a coil inside of a coil with a rod down the center that does produce one. But it's yes. A Tesla coil works in a direction anyway when you put it on the side versus a bipolar. It's a little different. Nice. Not when you use the one wire. I'm probably confused about the direction we're going here. Nice. Okay. Interesting. Still kind of lost. I haven't seen the reference or understood it yet. So sorry about that, John. A little lost on what you're saying there. Let's see what I had to spark up to the secondary. A 28 gauge wire I had connected to the light bulb. Burned super bright like a laser. Nice. Mm, nice. Oh, man. All kinds of fun, man. All kinds of fun. Working on some cool projects. About the UFOs, do you think they have a giant pancake coil covering the top and the bottom of the ship? No, I don't. I honestly think there's spheres inside, and we can use coil to get there. It's one means to an end, but I honestly think they have rotating spheres inside, and it makes for a better gravity well that way because they took the understanding of the resonance of the coil, they took the compression of it, they took the field geometry of it, and we're building it out. So rotating spheres on the inside would probably get you a better job in there than it would be to run a coil. But a coil would do the job. So that's my personal opinion. There's a material that you can put in there, Dennis. You can put a little cup thing on the end of that number 2 winding. For whatever reason, I can't think of it. It's ferrite or whatever they put in the top, and it starts making fire out of it. So, yeah, small ball can move a lot. It all depends on the compression level when they get into there, into the rotation of it. Yeah, and then the fields that you put out from it. If you could put that radium field that goes right through everything else, man, if you have that in the center, it works wonders. But you kind of have a static field with it. So a ruby 3D printer nozzle to the center rod might be cool experiment. What's a ruby 3D printed nozzle? Oh, absolutely. Like a lot of salt water like it's nothing. If you pulse the salt water in small pulses, stuff like that, and then let it sit for a while, come back and do it again, as long as you're consistent with it, you can charge that water up a bit, kind of like a battery does. You get fire on the top of your testicle if you put in, and I can't remember the stuff that they put in their little cap, but then, yeah, you can get fire on the top of it. One cool experiment, guys, if you get it, they have stuff out there that sell different color flames. You can take that and get yourself one of those things that you put on your island that goes around and rotates like that. You get one of those, you take your little fire thing and get them going, and they usually come about this tall, and you spin it, and the fire will start swirling like this. Put multiple different colors in there, makes an amazing swirl that comes up in there. Yeah, I love those things, man. Totally awesome. Paper ball for containment attached to the power supply could have that effect. Interesting. The cactus love the charged water. Nice. Interesting. That's the one you were doing out in your little garden area with the one wire energy was the cactus. Let's see. Godspeed you all. cow carving in the morning and blessing Ireland. Right on, brother. Have yourself a good night. Yeah, lecture culture. Yeah. Yeah, Bernie does all that stuff, man. Yeah, nice. All right, guys, it's been about 2 hours, man. I'm gonna take off for the night. I got to get dinner on the table for everybody, man. Hall Effect, hit me up on my email, dude. Here, I'll leave it in the chat if you need some help. There you go. Drop me an email, man, and we'll work on it. Right on, guys. Remember to help Joe go mining, man, if you can.
The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.